Okay, then let's start again, bro. Yeah. Yep. So yeah. So because when you don't read for 3 to 4 days, then your motivation to read also breaks, and also your momentum and your of the understanding on the context of the book also breaks. So don't ever expect reading books, right? Reading book and understanding and also learning. Yeah, also learning these things, right? Okay, it's the meaning, na, right? Once Manas had traveled through Siddhartha's town, as 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 ascetics. Okay, S-E-T-I-C. What's the meaning? As person who follows an ascetic life. For the pronunciation,
Ascetic.
ascetic, ascetic, ascetic. Avoid, meaning avoiding physical pain, living a simple life. Ascetic. Oh, that's a new word, right? Ascetic means avoiding physical pleasure and living a simple life. Oh, on a pilgrimage, three skinny, withered men, neither tall nor young, with dusty and bloody shoulders, almost naked, scorched by the sun. Scourged. S C S U R S-C-O-R-C-H. Scourged meaning burned by flames, surrounded by loneliness, enemies of the world, strangers lank lank jackals in the realm of humans. Behind them blew a hot scent of quiet passion, of destructive service, of merciless self-denial. In the evening, after the hour of contemplation, Siddhartha spoke to Govinda. Early tomorrow morning, my friend Siddhartha will go to summons. Summons, he will become a summon. Summon. Summons. I don't know what's the meaning. Summon. Govinda turned pale when he heard these words and read the decisions in the motionless face of his friend, unstoppable like the arrow shot from the bow. Soon and with the first glance, Govinda realized now it is beginning. Now Siddhartha is taking his own way. Now his fate is beginning to sprout, and with his own, with his my own. And he turned pale like a dry banana skin. Oh Siddhartha, he exclaimed, will your father permit you will your father permit you to do that? Siddhartha looked over as if he was just waking up. Airship, he read Govinda's soul, read the fear, read the submission. Oh Govinda, he spoke quietly. Let's not waste the words. Tomorrow at daybreak I will begin the life of Samans. Speak no more of it. S-A-M-A Smanas. S-A-M-N-A-S. Meaning Samanas. Pacification, elevation in Sanskrit. Buddhism, peaceful individuals. Siddhartha entered the chamber where his father was sitting on the maid of bust. fibrous material from a plant, in particular an inner bark of a tree such as lime, used as fiber in matting, cord. Okay, there's a type of fiber. And stepped behind his father and remained standing there until his father felt that someone was standing behind him. Said the Brahmin, "Is that you, Siddhartha?" Then say what you came to say, answered Siddhartha. With your permission, my father. With your permission, my father. With your permission, my father. I came to tell you that it is my longing to leave your house tomorrow and go to the ascetics, my desires to become a Saman. May my father not oppose this. The Brahmin fell silent and remained silent for so long that the stars in the small window bended and changed their relative positions. Before the silence was broken, silence and motionless stood the sun with his arms folded. Silent and motionless sat the father on the mat, and the star traced the paths in the sky. Then spoke the father, "It is not proper for a Brahmin to speak harsh and angry words, but there is displeasure in my heart. I do not wish to hear this request from your mouth a second time." Slowly the Brahmin rose. Siddhartha stood silently, his arms folded. "Why are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?" asked the father. Answered Siddhartha, "You know what?" Indignant, 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 the father left the chamber. Indignant, he left to his bed and lay down. Indignant, indignant. Feeling or showing anger or annoyance is what is perceived unfair treatment. Okay. Describe anger because of something wrong and fair. Okay. Describes anger. Describes anger because something bad happens. Because of something bad. Okay, he went to his bed and lay down. After an since sleep would not come, the Brahmin stood up, paced to and fro, and left the house. Through the small window of the chamber, he looked back inside and he saw Siddhartha standing there, his arms folded, not moving from his spot, his robe shimmering pale, his robe, a long loose outer garment reaching to the ankle, shimmering pale. With anxiety in his heart, the father returned to his bed. After another hour, since sleep would not come, the Brahmin stood up again, paced to and fro, walked out of the house, and saw that the moon had risen. The moon had risen. Through the window of the chamber, he looked back inside. There stood Siddhartha, not moving from his spot, his arms folded, moonlight reflecting from his bare shin. With a troubled heart, the father went back to the bed, and he came back after 1 hour. He came back again after 2 hours, looked through the same small window, saw Siddhartha standing in the moonlight by the light of the stars in the darkness, and he came back hour after hour, silently looked into the chamber, saw him standing in the same place, filled his heart with anguish, filled his heart with unrest, filled his heart with anguish, anguish, severe mental and physical suffering, severe mental and physical suffering, filled sadness. And in the night's last hour before the day began, he reached and stared into the room, so the young man standing there who seemed tall and like a stranger eyed to him. Siddhartha, he spoke. What are you waiting for? You know what? Will you always stand that way and wait until it becomes morning, noon, and evening? I will stand and wait. You will become tired, Siddhartha. I will become tired. You will you will fall asleep, Siddhartha. I will not fall asleep. You will die, Siddhartha. I will die. And would you rather die than obey your father? Siddhartha has always obeyed his father. So will you abandon your plan? Siddhartha will do what his father will tell him to do. The first light of the day glanced into the room. The Brahmin saw that Siddhartha's knees were trembling softly, but in Siddhartha's but in Siddhartha's face he saw no trembling. Trembling means kapra. Trembling. Shaking, right? Trembling means shaking. Okay. You're the driver, obey your father. Siddhartha is a good boy. Is good, obedient. Father realized that Siddhartha no longer dwelled with him. His dwell no longer lived with him. It found that he had already left him. Distanceward. His eyes were fixed on a distant point. Then his father realized that Siddhartha no longer lived with him. That is, he had already left him. The father touched Siddhartha's shoulder. You will, he said, go into the forest and be a shaman. When you have found blissfulness in the forest, come back and teach me to be blissful. Blissful. Okay. ठीक है मैं थोड़ा ऑर्डर कर दे भाई. Just not. Just okay. So now the Siddhartha left. Okay. Okay. Siddhartha asked with his father. Okay, means the father touched Siddhartha's shoulder. You will, he said, go into the forest. Blissful. Blissfulness. Extremely happy. Extremely happy. Come back and teach me to be blissful. If you find disappointment, then return and let us know once again. Make offerings to the gods together. Go now and kiss your mother. Tell her where you are going. For me, it's just time to go to the river and to perform the first ablution. Ablution means अबे हर जगह तो नहीं हो रहा ना. See, that's walking. Ablution means the act of washing oneself. Okay, my 25 minutes are okay. So we'll take short 5 minute break. Bye bye. See you soon. Okay. Wonderful your life, right? Mm. On this point. Well consumed breakfast enough and food. Just listen to some music. Okay, let's come back to your this row. Hmm. For me, it's just time to go on from the first evolution. The summons. He took his hand from his son's shoulder and went outside. Siddhartha swayed as he tried to walk. He controlled himself, brought his father, and went to his mother to as his father's house. Slowly, his legs stiff, he left the still quiet down, and the first light of the day, a shadow from near the last hut rose and joined the pilgrim. Okay, you have come, said Siddhartha and smiled. I have come, said Govinda. Okay, how he like it's like how he managed to influence his how he managed to influence his parents and influence his parents, or how, yeah, not that much, but yeah, he is good at, he is very determined toward his goal and destiny. Okay, with the summons, the next chapter, right? Oh, okay, he took his hand from his son's shoulder and went outside. Siddhartha swayed as he tried to walk. He controlled himself, bowed his father, and went to his mother to do as his father had said. Okay, as slowly as his legs stiff, he still left the quiet town on the first day of light as he took from near the lost rose and joined the pilgrim. Govinda, you have come, said Siddhartha and smiled. I have come, said Govinda. Yeah. So like he is very determined toward his goal and destiny, and he has a good communication skills. Also, he is very stiff. Means like like uh, if he wanted to do something with his father's permission, that he wanted to take permission from his father, right? So yeah, he is very determined toward his goals. So he never gives up. Ooh, toward his. So yeah, try until the last minute, right? Okay, with the summons, the next chapter. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, that is the next chapter. Okay, and on the evening of this day, they caught up with the ascetics, living a simple life, not of, and also not getting a physical pleasure. So yeah, the skinny Samans and offered them their companionship and obedience. They were accepted. Siddhartha gave his garments to a poor Brahmin in the street. He wore nothing more than a loincloth and an earth-colored, unsewn cloak. He ate only once a day and never anything cooked. He fasted for 15 days. He fasted for 28 days. The flesh waned from his thighs and cheeks. Waned. Okay. Summoning of waned. Veins decrease in or become weaker or decrease, right? Become weaker or decrease. Feverish dreams flickered from his enlarged eyes. Long nails grew slowly on his parched fingers, and a dry, shaggy beard grew on his chin. His glance turned icy when he encountered women. His mouth twitched with contempt when he walked through a city of nicely dressed people. His mouth twitched when I give a pose to give a short, give or short, sudden jogging or Convulsive movement. Use a twitch to subdue. Twitch. Uh, to move jerkily or to move jerkily. Pause finger. Finger milling. Okay. I think ChatGPT is better for this. Paused finger. Isn't a strict expression, but let's break it down. Paused, extremely dehydrated. Finger that the digit extremely dry. Okay, extremely dry and dehydrated. Okay. So nicely dressed. He saw merchants trading. He saw merchants trading. Princess hunting. And mourner wailing for their dad. Poors offering themselves. Physicians trying to help the sick. Priests determining the most suitable day for seething. Lovers loving mothers nursing their children, and all of this was not worthy of one look from his eye. It all lied, it all stank of lies. Stank of lies. As a figurative expression, the past tense of stink gave me of a very bad smell of lies, such as dishonesty, deception. So when someone says it stank of lies, the main situation or statement is obviously dishonest and suspicious. It all okay, bad smell. So statement, situation, statement, dishonest, suspicion. Yeah, he really because he left this. What's the meaning of what the fuck? Grasti. Minute. In English. Household. Grasti. Household or domestic life. Yeah, he left that right, and it all pretended to be meaningful and joyful and beautiful, and it all was just concealed putrefaction. 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 Meaning. P. Putrefaction. The fifth stage of death. The world tested bitter, life was torture. A goal stood before Siddhartha, a single goal to become empty, empty of trust, empty of wishing, empty of dreams, empty of joy and sorrow. A single goal to become empty. Okay. That to himself not to be self anymore, to find tranquility with an empty heart. Tranquility. Let's drink some water. The quality or state of being tranquil or calm. Okay. Tranquility is quality of being calm. State of being calm, right? State of being tranquil, and which is known as calm. With an empty heart to be open to miracles and unselfish thoughts, that was his goal. Once all of myself was overcome and had died, once every desire and every urge was silent in the heart, then the ultimate part of me had to awake. The innermost of my being, the innermost of my being, which is no longer myself, the great secret. Silently, Siddhartha exposed himself to the burning rays of the sun directly above, glowing with pain, glowing with thirst, and stood there until he neither felt any pain nor thirst any more. Silently, he stood there in the rainy season. From his hair, the water dripped over freezing shoulder, over freezing hips and legs, and the penitent stood there, penitent, feeling penitent, or feeling or showing sorrow and regret for having done wrong, repentant, until he could not feel the chill in his shoulder and legs anymore. Until they were silent, until they were still, silently he crouched in the thorny bushes. Blood dripped from the burning skin, from festering wounds dripped pus. And Siddhartha stayed rigidly, stayed motionless until no blood flowed anymore, until nothing stung anymore, until nothing burned anymore. Siddhartha sat upright and learned to breathe sparingly, sparingly meaning in a restricted or infrequent way in small quantities, sparingly, in small amounts. Learn to manage with only few breaths. Learn to stop breathing. He learned beginning with the breath to calm the beat of his heart. Learn to reduce the beats of his heart until they were only a few and almost none. Instructed by the oldest of the Samanas, Siddharthas practiced self-denial, practiced meditation according to the new summon 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 rule. A heron flew over the bamboo forest and Siddhartha accepted the heron into his soul. Flew over forests and mountains as a heron, ate fish, fed the pangs of a heron's hunger, spoke the heron's croak, died a heron's death. A dead jackal was lying on the sandy bank, and Siddhartha's soul slept inside the body. Was the dead jackal lay on the bank, coat got bloated, stank, decayed, was dismembered by hyenas, was skinned by vultures, turned into a skeleton, turned to dust, was blown across the fields, and Siddhartha's soul returned and had died, had decayed, was scattered as dust, had tasted the gloomy intoxication of the cycle, awaited a new thrust like a hunter in the gap, wherefrom he could escape from the cycle, where the end of the courses, where eternity without suffering began. He killed his senses, he killed his memory, he slipped out of his self and a thousand of other forms, was an animal, was carrion, was stone, was earth, was water, and awoke every time to find his old self again. Sun shone or moon was his self again, turned around in the cycle, felt thirsty, overcame thirst, felt new thirst. He killed his senses, he killed his memory, he slipped out of his self into thousands of forms. Okay. Siddhartha learned a lot when he was with the Sama. Many ways leading away from the self, he learned to go. He went the way of self denial by means of pain, through voluntary suffering and overcoming pain, hunger, thirst, and tiredness. He went the way of self denial by means of meditation, through imagining the mind to be void of all conceptions. These and other ways he learned to go a thousand times. He left his self for hours and days he remained in the non self. But okay, he practiced a lot of meditations and got sufferings, pains that he wanted to and remained no self. But though the ways led away from the self, they and nevertheless always led back to the self. Though Siddhartha fled from the self, 1,000 times stayed in nothingness, stayed in the animal, in the stone, the return was inevitable, inescapable. Was the hour when he found himself back in the sunshine or in the moonlight, in the shade or in the rain, and was once again his self, and Siddhartha and again felt the agony of the cycle which had been forced upon him. Agony is something. Agony means something poor, right? Yeah, physical, yeah, extremely physical. Anguish, similar, right? Extreme physical slash mental suffering. Okay, oh, yeah, it's like a loop, right? Okay, inevitable, unavoidable, right? By his side lived Govinda. His shadow walked the same paths, undertook the same efforts. They rarely spoke to one another. Then the service and the exercises required. Occasionally, the two of them went through the villages to beg for food for themselves and their teachers. How do you think, Govinda? How do you think, Govinda? Siddhartha spoke one day while begging his way. How do you think we did progress? Did we reach any goals? Govinda answered. One day, how do you think we did progress? Did we reach any goals? Govinda answered. We have learned and we continue learning. You will be great Saman Siddhartha. Quickly you will learn every exercise is often the old Samans have admired you. One day you will be a human or Siddhartha. Quote Siddhartha. I can't help but feel that it is not like this I felt. What I have learned being among the Samans up to this day, what I could have learned more quickly and by simpler means. In every tavern of that part of a town where the poor houses are my friends, among traders and gamblers, I could have learned it. Govinda, Siddhartha, just how could you have learned meditation, holding your breath, insensitivity against hunger and pain there among those wretched people? Wretched people, wretched, very unhappy and unfortunate states. Wretched people, wretched, wretched people, extremely unhappy. And Siddhartha said quietly as if he was talking to himself. What is meditation? What is living one's body? What is fasting? What is holding one's breath? It is fleeing from the self. It is a short escape, the agony of being a self. It is a brief numbing of the senses against the pain and the pointlessness of life. That's crazy. It's fleeing from. Be yourself. Don't escape from your life. Don't try to escape from your life. Oh, solve your problems. Be yourself. Be yourself and don't try to escape from life and solve your problems. Solve your problems. Don't avoid them. Right? Yeah. The same escape, the same short numbing is what the driver of an ox cart finds in the inn, drinking a few bottles of rice wine or fermented coconut milk. Then he will not feel himself anymore, then he will not feel the pains of life anymore, and he finds a short numbing of the senses. Numbing. of senses. The phrase numbing of senses state where emotional sensitivity becomes dull. Little meaning, okay, numbing means yeah, numb हो गया थोड़ा. Numb, numbing of the senses. Numbing of the senses. Numb is a figurative meaning. My fingers went. Unable to feel something. Unable to feel something. Numb. Feel something. Okay, when he falls asleep over his bowl of rice wine, he finds the same what Siddhartha and Govinda find when they escape their bodies through long exercises, extending the non-self. This is how it is, Govinda. You say so, friend, and yet you know that Siddhartha is not driver of an ox cart and someone is not drunkard. It's true that drinker numbs his senses. It's true that he briefly escapes and rests, but he will return from the delusion to find everything is unchanged. He has not become wiser, has gathered no enlightenment, has not risen several steps. And Siddhartha spoke this mind, I do not know, I have never been a drunkard, but that I, Siddhartha, find only a short numbing of the senses in my exercises and meditation that and just as far removed from wisdom, from salvation as a child in the mother's womb, thus I know, going to this I know. And once again, another time when Siddhartha left the forest together with Govinda to beg for some food in the village for their brothers and teachers, Siddhartha began to speak and said, What now, Govinda? Might we be on the right path? Might we get closer to enlightenment? Might we get closer to salvation? और salvation क्या होता है? Being saved and rescued and protected. Oh yeah. Seek salvation through prayer. Okay. Being rescued from difficult. Being rescued. Rescued. He asked, very intriguing. He asked, very thought provoking. Or we perhaps live in a circle. We who have thought we were escaping the cycle. So we have learned a lot, that there is still much to learn. We are not going around a circle. We are moving up. The circle is a spiral, and we've already ascended many levels. So that how old? What do you think is our oldest samana or venerable teacher? Venerable, respectable, deep respect, admiration. Deep respect, deep respect, admiration. Okay, is it how old? Is it Kodyoinda? Our oldest one might be about 60 years of age. He has lived for 60 years and has not attained nirvana. He will turn 70 and 80, and you and I will go just as old and will do our exercises and will fast and will meditate, but will not reach nirvana. He won't, and we won't. Govinda, I believe, of all the summons of day, perhaps not a single one will reach nirvana. We find comfort, we find numbness, we learn feats, we'll see others, but the most important thing, the path of paths, we will not find. Okay, that's it from today's. Literally, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for being in this reading session. I learned a lot, and you will also learn a lot. So, uh, Siddhartha asked a lot of questions. For example, What is meditation? He asks very basic questions. What is first is we have to start thinking from our first principles. We need to break the problems into simpler ones. So what is meditation? We also ask what is what we learned till date and who we are. Well, and also who are the eldest their samans, which is their eldest uh, means who is practicing the meditations, these exercises from for our 60 years, for our 70 years, who why they did not reach any nirvana, why they did not why they did not reach enlightenment. He asks a very basic questions, for example, or he also compares yourself or your when you do meditations, your these breathing exercises, you reach a state where you're escaping yourself from being yourself. Means when a drunk or when a person when a man or when a drunk man drink a wine or alcohol, then he escapes reality and just enjoys what which is not reality, but everyone return to the same path, or everyone return to themselves again and again, and there's a loop inside that. For example, yeah, means there's a loop, right? Means when you come back to your life again and again and again, right? Means these Siddhartha and Govinda are practicing meditations and exercises for so many years. So means whenever they practice meditation, they escape the reality, they escape their oneself. And after the meditation and these exercises are like over, then they return back to their oneself. So, so Siddhartha is saying that there is uh, there is unavoidable, unescapable loop, which is from oneself to oneself. So you can't escape reality. So don't ever try to escape reality. According to me, it's like concept or some means be in the present, and and you know that life is a series of problems. So try solving problems. Don't avoid your problems. Uh, Try till last minute. Never give up. Right. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you soon. Okay. This is what I learned from these books, which are very helpful to me. And I will also learn a lot of new words, which I will try to use in my English communication. But yeah, for example, agony, anguish. So I'm getting a lot of pain. I'm getting a lot of agony. Agony is like extreme physical and mental suffering. Like when we had a project with PC Pandey, that time we had a lot of mental suffering. So agony, anguish. I also learned many different words like numb. What is a numb? When you doesn't feel any of your senses. Salvation means being rescued. Another new words are sparingly in a small amounts. Means please give them sparingly. Means keep them in small amounts. Stank of lies. Situation where dishonest. Or tranquility, state of being calm, tranquil, state of being, please be calm, right? Bye bye. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and to this video. See you soon. Please support me, right?